It's been a while since I did one of these, isn't it? Not a rewards video today, but actually a proper YouTube video. And what it's going to be about is my custom tactics. Now, I've been meaning to do one of these for a while, and I've been putting it off a little bit because I've been not 100% comfortable with what I use, and I didn't want to show you all what I'm using, and I'm just going to change it the next week. But I'm probably feeling the most comfortable that I've felt all year at the moment. As you can see on the screen here, finished 10th in the world this latest weekend. So yeah, I thought what better time to share it all with you. I have noticed in the comments recently, in amongst everyone telling me I'm depressing, negative, ungrateful, etc, etc, I have noticed a lot of people have been asking for this, so I thought it's time. So, if you are only interested in the numbers and the instructions, you don't want to hear me rambling on, then feel free to just skip through, obviously, and just see what the end numbers are. If you are interested, but more interested in why I do what I do, then yeah, watch the full thing. I'm going to try and explain in a little bit of detail my thinking behind all my numbers. So yeah, I think I've got 4 formations I'm going to talk you through, but 3 of them are the ones I use a lot of the time. One of them is just basically to try and hang on at the end. So yeah, let's get straight into it then, and let's have a look at these numbers. So this is my team, and this is what I start on purely for chemistry purposes. I never stay on this 4-5-1-2. I've never really tested the formation. You will see a lot of pros using this year, or at least starting on this, and that's simply to get the main man involved. With Ronaldo moving to Juve, being Portuguese, Serie A, it's quite hard to get him into teams. So this seems the most, well, I think it's just one of the most easiest formations to get him in. Obviously, you just need a centre mid or any sort of central player either side of him that will give him length, so usually an icon, and it still gives you wide players on both sides. So what I've done here is I've set out the 4 formations and tactics that I use. This isn't how I have them in game. I usually say I won't have that there. I'll usually have like a more attacking 4-1-2-1-2. So this is just purely for the video. I put this together. So what I do when I go into the game, I'll move straight. Well, at the moment, I move straight to the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Now this formation, I was a narrow guy for. Well, I think for FIFA 17, for all of FIFA 17, I never used a wide formation for the entire year. Then FIFA 18, I never used a narrow formation the entire year. And most of FIFA 19, I've stayed wide until now. I've been using this the last few weeks, and I don't know if it's just since the most recent patch, but it really seems to work again. So anyway, my styles and numbers for this formation are exactly what you can see on the screen. Pressure on heavy touch. I think this is pretty much the best defensive style for, I think, every formation really. I think the way I play and how I want to play, I hate letting people have the ball, especially people who just want to switch it from side to side, try and play possession. I constantly want pressure on the ball, so this is the perfect tactic really. It does exactly what it says there. Your team preserves the shape until the opportunity to pressure arises. Your team waits and waits until they make a bad touch or a heavy touch, they turn back towards their own goal, anything like that, and your team's on them instantly. So I think that's the best defensive style, especially for a narrow formation. You cannot sit back on a narrow formation. So width, I wouldn't change this on any formation, to be honest. I wouldn't change your defensive width at all. You're going to start, if you want to make it wider, it's easier for them to thread it down the middle. You're going to make it too narrow, they're going to go down the wings. I don't believe it's worth changing on any formation. So depth, I think 6 is the one for me. It has been pretty much with every formation throughout the year. Like I said, I always like pressing the ball. I hate letting people have possession. Hate letting them, dominate the ball. So 6 is the one. When I put it up to 7, it feels a little bit too risky and can get in behind me too easily. When I put it down to 4, 3, it just doesn't suit me at all. I know a lot of people will use like this. They'll use 4 depth, drop back, and people having success with it. I think people like, I'm sure, I don't know if he still does now, people like Tex uses, I don't think he uses drop back, I think he uses balance, but he uses 4 depth. It's just not for me. I mean, everyone's different, but pressure on heavy touch and 6 is the one that I go for. So offensive style, now I think for me there's only 2 options when it comes to this. You want to either be using balanced or you want to be using possession. I have used possession for a lot of this year, especially with the wider formations. it just feels like sometimes when you're against the very best players, or when you're against good players who want to really come after you and press you, it's just a little bit hard to get out because every single player wants the ball to feet, and it can be, like I said, it's a little bit hard to get out. Sometimes you're like, no, just run away, like let me like put a through ball down the wing, and I know you can trigger the runs, but it's just a little bit difficult. So I think all in all, your best chance is to go with balanced. It gives you a little bit of everything. Like I said, it's balanced. Sometimes they'll come to feet, sometimes they'll run down the wing, sometimes they'll run in behind, sometimes they'll go for the long ball. It's just the best way forward for every formation, in my opinion. So with this is a funny one. I would never move this more than one either side of default, and you might notice a recurring theme here with my numbers pretty much for every formation, every FIFA really. You don't want to stray too far away from default, which is obviously 5 for every value. With my wide formations, I bump it up to 6, and with my narrow formations, I bump it down to 4. It's a weird one, to be honest. If I try and use 6 with a narrow formation, it doesn't quite feel right. It feels like they're too wide. It feels like they're moving too far, like outside the goalposts. But when I put a wide formation down to 4, it feels like they're all too cramped in the middle. So yeah, I mean, 4 for narrow formations, 6 for wide formations, in my opinion. So players in the box, I would never ever change this of anything. I'm one of them people, right? If a cross is on, I will not hesitate to put it in, but I'll never actively go looking for a cross. So I don't think this is worth changing at all. You just want it to all feel natural. If the cross is on, if there's an opportunity to cross, but you don't want to force it, and especially you don't want to end up in a situation where your players won't even run into the box. So I would never change this on any formation. So corners and free kicks. Free kicks is a bit useless. I always go short. I just have that 4. Probably don't know why I have it on 4. Probably just because I'm an attacking player. Corners. With corners being so overpowered, you can pick exactly where you want to put it. I know the keeper movement kills them a little bit, but if you have it on 4 corners and you take it short, you've got so many options to pass into the box, and I've scored so many more goals. I used to have it. I think I even used to have it on 2. I don't know what I was thinking. I mean, 3 is decent, but 3 or 4 is the way forward. 4, especially if you want to go short, you have so many options, like I've already said. So, in game, this is what it looks like. Ronaldo, right, left striker. Cruyff, right striker. Obviously, Cruyff for this 5-star weak foot, you'll want him. I just basically, a lot of the time, treat him as if he's left-footed. Time finesse, a cross goal with the left foot. I have Neymar Cam, Mbappe, left centre mid. Like in the events, quite a lot of people use Henry, left or right centre mid. It's the same sort of thinking for me here. He's fast, gets up and down, decent passing, decent dribbling. As long as you've got a right, the opposite side centre mid and the CDM, who are both actual midfielders, you can get away with having a fast striker in centre mid. And it also gives you the flexibility to change to a 4-2-3-1 or something like that. So yeah, Ballack, CDM, Gerrard, right centre mid. The back 4 as it is, as you'd expect it to be when I go into the game. So instructions for my 4-1-2-2 narrow. Now start from the back with a narrow formation. I never tell the fullbacks to stay back. You need the width come from somewhere, and if people sit back, it just having them on the overlap really can help. So I just leave them all completely on default. CDM, stay back while attacking. That's the only thing I do with this. It's pretty obvious. You can't have, when you're playing one CDM, you can't have him bombing forward, can you? You need him to sit in the middle. Now, I know a lot of pros are obsessed, and when they make these videos, like, oh no, I can't believe that's default. Cover wing. You can't have them covering the wing. Read the description of what it actually says. Defend the open wing if the teammate isn't marking. So go out to the wing, basically, if there's space there, if there's a player that needs marking. That doesn't mean they're going to spend the game covering the wing. I see so many people saying, you have to have it on cover centre, you have to have it on cover centre. I don't have it on cover centre. And Ballack, guess where Ballack is for 90% of my games? He's in the centre. You don't need to put cover centre on. Cover wing is much better. If there's a space slightly to the side and there's a player that needs marking, you want to mark him, leave. Do not put that on cover centre. You really, really do not need to. It makes no sense whatsoever. Anyway, left and right centre mids, as you'd expect. Well, left and right in the mid, as you'd expect. Yeah, balanced all the way. There's no point. Cover wing again. Basically, you just want them to mark where needs marking. That's how it works for me anyway. The cam, I don't usually do this, but I have been playing on stay forward this year, especially for counter-attack, and especially for narrow. When you get the ball, you don't want to play in too much possession with this formation, so you want to go straight forward into Neymar's feet to feed the front two, who are these two. Now, this is where it's going to get a little bit surprising, possibly. Now, every FIFA since they introduced player instructions and custom tactics, I'm sure they had custom tactics and possibly even player instructions back on FIFA 09. I remember using them in like FIWC back almost 10 years ago. I mean, how old does that make me, by the way? This is the first FIFA in my life I do not tell my strikers to get in behind. Now, every FIFA in my life, it's always been about getting in behind the defence, getting a one-on-one and smashing it in the corner. But EA have changed the game this year. It is actually harder to score if you get in behind than scoring and, weak foot, back to goal, timed finesse, isn't it, from 30 yards out. So this year I don't always want them running in behind. A lot of the time I want them coming to feet so they can turn and score the finesses. I think I've found when I've put getting behind, it's actually harder to score. As stupid as I don't know if I'm on my own in this, but I do not tell my strikers to get in behind in this game because it's actually easier to score from outside the box than inside, and that tells you all you need to know about this game. So I've covered that, and I'm going to try and keep this a little bit short because obviously I've went in quite a bit of detail there, and I don't want to make this video last forever. So I'm going to show you my other formations that I would use from the off. So 4-2-3-1. Pretty same defence, pressure and heavy touch, width 5 as always, depth 6, same same reasoning as the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. Offensive style, balanced. Again, try possession with this, but balance gives you the most attacking options overall in my opinion. With it being a wide formation, I go for 6 width instead of 4. I think it's definitely a little bit better. I mean, sometimes the wide cams stay a little bit too wide, but when they do come in, they are hitting them first time finesses and they are hitting the top corners if you're getting them in the green. Players in the box, same as everything. Corners, same again. Free kicks, same again. Just going to quickly show you. So obviously I have the same players as when I use the diamond, and Bobby goes from left centre mid to left attacking mid. Cruyff, obviously, best cam I've used all year, to be honest. And Neymar, with his 5-star weak foot, can play on the right, cuts inside and hits them 5-star weak foot finesse shots like it's nobody's business. So that is that one cleared. Oh no, sorry, instructions. Same again, nothing on the striker. You want him coming to feet, so he can turn, hit them ridiculously unrealistic time finesse shots from 50 yards out. Nothing on the cams. Don't think it's worth telling any of them to stay forward. They're all pretty balanced. They'll all come back. They'll all get forward when needs be. So I wouldn't touch anything there. This is where it's going to get surprising again. I do not tell either CDMs to get back. Now I know I told my CDM to stay back. I know I told my CDM in the diamond to stay back, and that's because he's on his own. There's only one of him. With 4-2-3-1, you've obviously got 2 CDMs, so I think if you leave them both on balance, they'll get forward. But in a lot of the time, I find that they won't both go forward at the same time. You'll usually find that naturally, even without the instruction, one of them will cover the other. So say Gerrard goes forward, Ballack will sit in and play as a sole CDM, and vice versa. So that's what I do anyway. I don't have any instructions on any of the front 6. The only instruction I have on this formation is I have Alexandro and Lala to stay back. Because obviously, if you're not going to tell your CDMs to stay back, you're going to have to make sure that at least your back 4 stays in place. So other formation I use from the off is obviously the 4-2-2-2. Same as always, pressure on heavy touch, width 5, depth 6. I've covered that in a lot of detail. For offensive start for this, I do use possession, and I think it's because of the amount of attacking options you've got. You've got the 2 strikers, you've got the 2 wide cams, and also, I mean, as I'm going to show you in a minute, I don't tell my CDMs to stay back. So I think I use possession to kind of reduce the risk for this. I want the shorter passes. I've got a lot of options going forward, and if for me personally, I found possession to be a lot more. It sounds stupid, a lot more balanced than using actually balanced. So yeah. Width I have on 6. It's just similar to the 4-2-3-1. For obviously, as I've said already, for my wide formations, I want this on 6. For my narrow, I want on 4. There's no need to go into much detail for the rest. It's just pretty much the same. 5 players in the box, 4 corners, 4 free kicks. It's all similar to the 4-2-3-1, which leads me onto the instructions, which again are all pretty similar. I don't want my strikers running in behind. I want them coming to feet. I want them hitting them 30-yard time finesse, weak foot, back to goal finesse shots. My wide cams on default, although I must admit I have been turning this on and off, having come back on defence, with this being a little bit more open, with you not having a cam. At times I have been changing this to come back on defence. It does make you a little bit more solid defensively, but going forward it can hinder your counter attack. So CDMs again, cover wing and just on balance, let them get forward. I'd say about 8 times out of 10, if one CDM goes forward, the other one will cover them. So for me, it's usually Gerrard goes forward and Ballack covers him behind. I think that's mainly down to both of their work rates. The back four, same as always. Well, not same as always. Same as the 4-2-3-1. You want, if you're going to have your CDMs going forward, you need a solid back four to stay put. So last thing I'm going to show you in this video, and I apologise if I have rambled a little bit and this video has went a little bit longer than I expected. I just wanted to give you all as much information as possible, and I wanted to give you the answers to what I imagine the questions would have been in the comment section. So this is my Tony Pulis formation, and it is the 4-3-3 defend. For this, I have drop back. Now, this is simply just getting as many men behind the ball as possible. It's simply to see out the game. I only use this formation if I'm winning in a competitive game or a qualifier game with, 10 minutes to go, 5 minutes to go plus stoppage time. Or maybe say if I, in a weekend league, if I score like 90th minute or something, I'll put this on to try and not concede the rigged kickoff. So I have width, same as always, never change this for any formation. Depth, do drop this down to 4. I think 4 and drop back is going to make it pretty much impossible for them to get in behind, which is obviously what you want to avoid in the last couple of minutes. Offensive style balance now, it just you need a way of getting out really. You still need people to make some sort of runs getting forward. I know it probably seems like a good idea to put possession on for this, but like I've explained earlier, if they're pressing high, which when you're using this formation, they're almost, I'd say 9 times out of 10 they're going to be on constant pressure 3 at the back, especially if it's a pro player. You want an out ball, so I would suggest balance, although this is one of the only times where I would also think that long ball could work. You just need some sort of run going forward before you get tackled in your own half, because that's one of the worst situations to defend, when you lose the ball deep in your own half. So width, I have this on 7. That's simply because the main way I try and get out is down the wings. I usually try and hit the left wing and the right wing, trigger a run, get in behind, just try and counter attack basically. So yeah, that's why I've got it on 7 and not 6. Players in the box, corners and free kicks, these values all speak for themselves. You don't want to be coming in numbers forward when you 1 goal up in the last few minutes. It's just suicidal. You want to, if you do get forward, you want to be keeping the ball, you want to be working along the ground, you don't want to be swinging aimless crosses in, you just certainly do not want to be gambling on set pieces. And that is my entire, what I guess you'd call, selection of formation styles and numbers. So if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to ask them in the comment section. I will try and get through them all. If you think there's anything I missed or just anything else you want to know or you're wondering, like I said, write it down in the comment section below and I will try to reply to you all. So that is the end of the video. I apologise if it's went on for a little bit too long, but like I said earlier, I wanted to give you all as much information as possible, as quite a lot of people have been asking me for this video. So until rewards in a couple of days time, I will see you all later.